Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and we have another extraordinary guest today. And for those of you who have books or you're getting yourself out on podcasts, because I have to tell you, this is someone that my friend Tracy Hazard uses as well. Get out your notepad and take lots and lots of notes. But before we get started today, I want to send you over to our YouTube channel. Please go over and follow us on YouTube. All of these, if you listen to these on a podcast and you want to see some of these live on video, or even if you're just a video person, all of these interviews are live on YouTube. So go follow us, subscribe at Superbrand Publishing. Also, don't forget to take our Promote, Profit, Publish quiz. So, everybody is really excited when you write a book, but do you have an audience that will buy the book? And can you use it as a loss leader to lead into your other products and services? Find all that out before you spend all that money on publishing and learn some really hard lessons. You put a lot of work into it and you deserve to have a book that's purchased. So today's guest is Shannon Procise. And I had to get used to calling her this because you guys probably saw her interview a long time ago. She was one of my first guests, and it was Shannon Gronich. But Shannon Procise has successfully attained over 3.2 million in free publicity and is notorious. I love that word, notorious. Yes, she is, for being the owner of the $1 million Rolex. Oh, sorry, Rolodex, not Rolex. Like, please don't carjack her and steal her watch. And teaching others how to do the same. She's trained and coached thousands of individuals in marketing, event production, business development, and personal growth. Shannon is the creator of a magnetic community, the Business Acceleration Network, where she guides businesses to successful enterprise while having fun and making lots of money. She brings together social entrepreneurs, visionaries, and new thought leaders that want to collaborate, create a better world, and focus on prosperity so that they can pay it forward to make positive impact. She appeared on television and radio and in the press, and she's co-authored The Law of Business Attraction, The Secret of Cooperative Success, an Amazon #1 bestseller with T. Harv Eker of The Millionaire Mind. So welcome, Shannon.
Thank you, Juliet.
So before we get too far into this, and can make sure that nobody's going to carjack you for your Rolex, could you please explain to our younger crowd, like those under 50, what a Rolodex is? I doubt they know.
I need to change that. That is a lot of people are like, what is a Rolodex? Now I want to say Rolex. So the Rolodex is that old machine that they're an old paper file, like they used to hold note cards for phone numbers. And it was, just kind of spun around, and it was how you had contact. So it's another term for contact list. I've been known to have the $1 million contact list. So thank you for...
There you go. So steal her iPhone and her iPhone password, and you shall have the key, not the Rolodex or the Rolex. Great. So you and I have been working together on some press releases, and I've been really finding this is a powerful tool for those who really want credibility. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, it's been so much fun working with you, Juliet, and thank you for all you do for authors and stuff, because you have been really I've learned so much about your industry and how you help others. And the press release is really designed to, number one, get out there, get your message out there, spread the word of what you're up to. But the credibility piece is where when you're picked up on ABC, Fox, Market Watch, AP News, any of these that have picked you up, particularly Juliet, that is something that you can add to your website. That's something that you can add to your LinkedIn profile. Whenever you're doing future press releases, you can mention that you've been featured in or seen on these particular things. So as far as credibility, this is a great vehicle to add that to what you're doing.
That's awesome. So I've known for quite a while now that you can do this on your own, but there's a right and a wrong way to do it. And if you go to a publicity person, they're going to charge you an arm and leg. So why would I choose someone like you? Let's say and I shared this with you this morning, one of my clients used Fiverr. And she was amazed because she said, oh, I didn't know where I was featured. So why would we use someone like you versus a Fiverr or doing it ourselves?
So one thing is when we work together, we give you a full report, and it's like over 50 pages with all of the links. We guarantee that you're going to be picked up in 200 spots, but I've never had a report come back less than 400. So it's really powerful to be able to get those direct links with the logos of where you go. The other piece is because I have been an expert in how to get free publicity, and free publicity takes a certain way of storytelling. That makes it really powerful to be able to include some of those key things to get picked up. So for example, Juliet, when you and I were working together, one of the questions I asked you is how many people have you served? I mean, you're in hundreds of people that you've helped with. The other piece is I asked, who are some of the big names that you've worked with? And when you shared some of the people that you've helped, it's just those pieces make the story more appealing for somebody who doesn't know you, and it also builds more trust.
Yeah, it's very much. And it was interesting doing this, you guys. So we're gonna kind of digress to what we talked about this morning. I copyright for a lot of my clients. And if I had to write my own press release, I couldn't do it. And here's why. When I copyright for myself and I hand it off to my copywriters, they laugh at me and they go, "Oh, you call yourself a copywriter." And most of it is because it's hard to write for yourself. And you were sharing this morning too, that you've spent a month writing your own press release because it's so hard to write for yourself.
Yes, and I find this a lot even with bios, helping people get their bios done. It's difficult to tell a story about ourselves, and that's why when you have somebody helping you, you may have an idea of the story, which is great, but then we can help you dive deeper in what is that story and how do we connect this as a professional, like how do we connect this to your audience and to what's happening in the world right now? Because there's a lot happening, and for you, Juliet, right now, with your stories, a lot of people are, we're all online. And so how do you stand out online, and how do you get more qualified leads? And so to really tie that to what's happening today in the media helps it get picked up. And as far as talking about yourself, yes, I was just telling somebody this morning, I'm like, I have 3 press releases in the wings. It's definitely better to have somebody craft it and tell that story for you, to make it easier and get it done.
Yeah, yeah. And you and I actually talked about I'm not real braggy. So it's really hard for me to like dig in and say, oh, I'm not a name dropper about who I've worked with. So it's hard to dig in because it feels like bragging. And, my father used to say, what was that thing he used to say is if you have to tell people how great you are, you may not be that great. Like,
Oh, that's what you're hearing. Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
so I kind of hear that in my head about if I have to keep telling people how fabulous I am, maybe I'm really not that fabulous. And I think a lot of people feel that even though the voice may be saying something else inside their head, it's hard.
Yeah, which is why the press release is so great, because then there's that third party piece that's speaking for you. And why one of the first things, Juliet, when I work with people is helping them create their expert power bio, because you're not alone. Nobody likes to, I mean, I'm sure there's some personality type that's okay with bragging about themselves, and we need to be okay, because if people are making a decision, and why I like the bio and the press releases, I don't have to do the talking and say, hey, read this or check this out, and then it does the work for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit. When you were talking about that report, that was the thing when I mentioned that one of my clients did this on Fiverr, and she actually gave you and I the press release. She's getting ready to work with you. And I said, well, when you did that, who did you peer on? And she's like, what do you mean? Like she had no idea. She just did it because she thought it was the thing to do. She had no idea that there was all this credibility involved with it.
Yes. So with the report, and this is why I'll share a little bit about the education piece that we built in too. With the report, what I love about it is this actually shows you the number of readers that this particular distribution normally has. So, and it gives you the direct link, the logo of where it is. I've had everybody get picked up by AP News except for one. So AP News is, as you know, is a hub on top of that. So even though you got your report, I'm sure that AP News, there's other people that may have picked it up even outside of that particular distribution. So you get to see the readership. And then can I share about the education piece
Yeah,
real quick?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I found, Juliet, is just what you said. Like, I don't know where I picked it up, or I don't know what happened. Well, I would give people this report, and then I would check in with them like a week or two later. Hey, how's it going? Did you do this? Did you do that? And I would spend time with them, coaching them on the credibility piece, and they wouldn't do anything. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I created these videos where it's like, step one, go get a screenshot of your article with the logo. Step two, add them to your bio. Step three, you know, like just real short videos. And there's a lot of different ideas on what to do, but to make sure that once you've done this, that you can really maximize it, monetize it. Like, I think people should be sharing those links on their social media. If you get picked up in AP News, like, you want to be sending that out to your contact list. You want to be sending that out to prospects. You want to add it to your email signature. I mean, there's just a lot to really avoid you bragging about yourself. Let it do it for you.
And you guys, I have to say, I went through the thing. I went through like the education piece, but it didn't make sense. And then I got my report, and then she met with me and said, "Did you do this?" And I was like, "No, I didn't know what it meant." So she follows, she loops back with you on it as well. But here's the other thing. I shared an article, and here comes Miss Shannon. Could you add a few hashtags? And I'm like, oh, I'm so not a hashtag person. Like, now I have to make stuff up. Now
Well, and you need to brag about yourself too. So like, I would put checkout, I was featured in, and just, and it is, again, bragging about yourself, but sharing that social media. Oh my goodness, look, my article, you know, this story got picked up. And even with you, Juliet, you had offered people a goodie, you know, like if they do a certain assessment, not only can they check out what they're doing, but they could have an opportunity to meet with you.
Yeah, we did that.
That was the other piece that I think it's important with the press release, is that I also work with people to determine what is the call to action that you want to have happen, so that we can work on both, not only the press release, but also within your strategy of your marketing to make sure that happens. And what I love about this particular platform is that we get to hyperlink. So we hyperlinked everybody to your LinkedIn. We get to hyperlink to, you know, the call to action. We also get to include a video, so people got to see you and get to know you, you know, in that way. So there's a lot of great things to really make it easier for a prospect to get to know you.
Yes. So who would this be ideal for? Like, if you were, is it just a business? We did it for my business, but I know we're working on books for a couple of my people.
Yeah. So I think anybody that has a book, anybody that's a speaker, for me, I've done press releases on inspirational stories, human interest stories. You know, you've heard my story where I was paralyzed after surgery and I healed it with Qigong, and I just wanted to get that message out to the world. So I submitted a press release. So there may be, you know, a fundraiser, but you know, you bring on somebody new to your team. What's great about this distribution service is that we can get away with a lot more than we would in the free publicity. The free publicity, you have to be really strategic. Like you know, when we quoted Juliet, I was able to say a little bit more about Juliet and her company. And really, when we do free press, we have to stay away from things that are selling it. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your, you know, if you're doing a product launch, or to me, Juliet, I cannot sit with somebody and not figure out 60 stories. I mean, I would love to be challenged from anybody to sit with them. And we all have education. We all, you know, there's some sort of human give back or human interest story. You know, there's a lot that we can tell, we can write a story about.
Yeah. And I used to be a fiction writer, so I can make up a lot of stories. Oh, but they're supposed to be true, huh? No. Okay. Sorry. I'm great with gossip. No, I'm just kidding.
You're too busy for gossip. I know.
I am too busy for gossip, but if I weren't, I'd be good at making it up. So just have that as solace. So tell us a little bit about the free publicity, because you wrote an entire book called Media Magic around free. Oh, she has one there. What a coincidence. No. So
Well,
tell us a little bit about the free publicity part of this.
yes, before I do that, can I just say something that I love about you with your people with books?
What? Yes, of
Well,
course.
just I don't know if people realize this that are listening to you, but I have sent you a few people, and I've even talked to you about things with my book, and you are this I want to say you're an ocean of information for anybody publishing a book. I remember my dear friend, and we know her mutually, dealing with printers and dealing
Oh
with,
yeah.
I mean, so many things. And she spent probably a month and just headache and heartache and all of this stuff. She got on the phone with you and it was like 5 minutes later, choo, 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 this. And I remember there was a migration I was doing with my book. And so I just wanted to brag about you for a minute, because those that may not know, you to me are a book diva. And
Thank you.
anything publishing or books, you're the one to call. So Media Magic, basically, I wrote this book after producing 400 events. And when I was producing the events, I cracked the code on how to write a press release that gets picked up. And so I've been able to garner millions of dollars in free publicity for myself and other people. And so from this, I wanted to help others learn how to do the same, because I kept talking to people where they'd spend $5,000, $10,000, they'd hire publicists, and then they'd come back to me and they would show their press release. And I'm like, I can tell you exactly why it didn't get picked up. And they didn't get the results they wanted. So I wrote this to empower people to at least have enough information to, when you hire somebody, can determine is it a good fit or not. But also that if you're on a tight budget, you can do this all yourself. And we go through how to put the press kit together, how to write an expert power bio, how to contact the media, what the various pieces that are important to being ready for media.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna just throw this out here. A lot of times in the past, people have brought me books and said, I'm gonna do a press release, and they don't know, how do I say this? They do it in order to sell the book, but they do it in a salesy way. They don't consider the relevance of the book, how they can fit it into today's world, which is one of the things we did with both of the books that I've sent you, is how can we fit this into today and make it something that people would actually want to read. And it just so happened one of us was grief and COVID, and the other was someone who's homeless and just amazing, brought herself up from nothing. So how can you really, I think people don't realize that when they're writing the press report, the press release, it's not all about them.
Oh, exactly. Yes. It's definitely what's in it for the reader, what's in it for the prospect, and how can you make a difference? Because in what you're sharing, I know with you, Juliet, I don't think people are aware of in 3 minutes or less, or I don't remember I think it was like 108 seconds or less, that people can get a certain identify an ideal lead. So I think that there's this education piece that when you can educate people or inspire or support people with some information, then that obviously becomes more viral. Because there's one thing with the press release, which is great, but it's even better if it can get picked up and shared by others.
Absolutely. And for those of you who don't know, our tagline for our quizzes is that our quizzes allow you to determine who in your audience is your best client in 180 seconds, which is super catchy. Somebody else came up with that and then walked out of the room. And I was like, well, mic drop. Yeah, I'll use it. So where do we find you? Do you have something you want to give us today? Don't you?
I'm going to give everybody a copy of the book. I took this book diva. Her name is Juliet Clark. About 5 years ago, she gave me this advice at a mentor table, and I finally took it. But if you go to MediaMagicBook.com, you can download the entire book for free. In here, there's over 100 of the most powerful words in the human language that can help you with your power bio and your press release. It's really set up like a workbook. So you can go through this and start filling in the blanks and that. And then beyond that, I also have a 21 days to Media Magic that you'll read about as you get in there. That's some more support if you want with some video training.
Yeah. And you guys, this is one of those things, and this is what I do all the time. I will get a book on audio or I'll get the ebook, and then I'll realize this is a workbook, a reference guide. This is one of those. So when you download it, you'll have the opportunity to actually buy the book too. And I've actually got it back there someplace. It's one of those things that you can flip it open, you can get ideas, you can write down. So, you might want to consider getting that soft cover copy from her as well. And that mini course with it. The mini course is what, $47. So it's not a huge amount. And, as we're looking around in today's market, I think people are going to be having to do this a little bit more and more for themselves as money gets tight. So consider it. Shannon, thank you. I have a meeting with her after this too. So it's like a Shannon day.
Thank you, Juliet. And those of you that are listening, just know that there is millions of dollars. I'm going to say thousands because million may be a little bit broad for some people. There is thousands of dollars in publicity waiting for you right now with your name on it. And if you haven't connected with Juliet and her quiz and what she's doing, please take a look, because she is, I think, a true gift for those that want to get their message out to the world. And I love working with you, Juliet. I think that it's we have a common mission, and you really help people get it done.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. I didn't pay her for that, by the way.
I know, I just love you. So I'm sorry.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next episode.